see the inside of my ear just alert me, as it could be quite alarming.
Okay, well, we're now live, so live and streaming, so hopefully some people will join us online. Let me just quickly tweet the link on Twitter so people can get alerted to view us if they so choose. And then I'll introduce everyone, so I'll just do a quick tweet out with the link. CMOOC webinar now live.
Are they done? No, they're not done.
And if anyone's following us, they can join along and just watch. So welcome, good to see you guys. So we've got a mix of people here from all over the world, from Nelson and from Coventry, and myself from Auckland, although I'm actually in Nelson. So let's just introduce everyone here. So we've got Liz here. So Liz, who are you?
Hi, I'm Liz Hudson. I'm a learning technologist at Coventry University in the United Kingdom. I'm from the West Midlands in the UK, and my kind of specialist area is around learning and instructional design. Yeah, and I've already had the first round of feedback for my CMOOC portfolio, so I'm on here hoping that I can share what I've learned so far and hopefully pick up some more ideas myself.
Cool. And have you resubmitted your portfolio yet?
I have, yes.
Cool. So you've got a bit of experience. That's awesome. Okay, next we got Paul.
Hi, yeah. So I work at NMIT. I am a learning technologist, or I hope to be. I look after, my main job is to look after our Moodle installation here on campus and some of the add-on services and things, and just provide infrastructure. And I actually came from the world of horticulture production. I retrained about 10 years ago in IT, but I had taught horticulture and various politics and things in a previous life. So I've always had a kind of an affinity with teaching and students, and to be able to kind of join education and IT together, it's almost like it's like my happy place. So I actually love my job, love working with students and teachers. In this process, it was just really good to meet Tom and find a world outside of Moodle, and a world that's more kind of, I guess, as a web designer, we have this term called above the fold and below the fold. Below the fold is where you have to scroll down to see it. Above the fold is something that's a bit more sort of public facing. And I always have liked to keep below the fold. But this is a bit more above the fold. This is a bit more using Twitter and WordPress and that kind of thing. It's a real paradigm shift for me. So have patience with me. It's just taking me a while to kind of transition in my head first, and then later, hopefully, on my blog and that kind of thing.
Well, it's awesome. Great to have you along, Paul. And that's one of the things I really like about the concept of CMOOC and it being portfolio based, is it's unique to everyone, and it's everyone has their own story and their own experiences, and it makes it really rich. So also Stu, we've got Stuart Campbell. Stu, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Stuart Campbell. I also work at NMIT, so I'm a colleague of Paul's, and I just, first of all, can I check that the volume's okay for everyone? Because I'm sort of using my phone in a conventional way, so I don't really blasting everybody's ears.
Good, Stuart.
That's all good?
Yeah.
Okay. So a colleague of Paul's at NMIT. My job title is one I created myself, actually, a couple of years ago, or about 18 months ago, is Learning, Teaching and Assessment Coach. And I sort of that got developed out of I was working in terms of curriculum quality and looking at the quality of teaching and learning at NMIT. So it made it more of a specific role. So what I'm really interested in is how we sort of use the technology to enhance the student experience. And so I'm not coming at it from a technologist perspective. I'm coming at it more from working with tutors and how we can make sure that the students have a great experience and using the technology to enhance that. So it's really useful for me from that perspective to keep developing, and in a way what this CMOLC involvement is about trying to understand and then model the sort of assessment practices which we can use with students more and more if we're going to have a genuinely student-centric approach. And I think that's what Tom said a minute ago. What he really likes about CMOLC is that it's very much about what the student is doing, and I think one of the areas that we really need to shift is the way we think about assessment. So that's really what I'm getting a lot from this. Okay.
Cool.
And
well,
Liz,
great.
I was quite a near neighbour of yours. I used to work at Derby, and I used to work at Nottingham Uni. So I know your area quite well. And I was actually born in Stoke-on-Trent, but not many people admit to that. So I'm revealing that.
Yes, we have a foreigner in our midst. It's great to have you all on board, and you all got a wealth of experience to share, which is awesome. And thanks, Liz, for sharing parts of your portfolio. And we're basically into week 3 now. So the first week was really sort of getting people on board, and getting people to sort of know one another in the community, the Google+, Twitter, WordPress, etc. Week 2 was about exploring operational issues, and I think people are still sort of working on that. Yes.
Can I just challenge you there, Tom? In my mind, we're still in week 2. It's still Friday.
Yes,
there's a time difference.
Still waiting for your blog post.
Difference. Yes, I know, and that's why we're still in week 2.
So yes, Stu has some awesome.
So which week are we go? So which week are we going by? The week in Stuart's mind, or the actual week?
Well, I think that's part of the idea of it being, conceptual CMOOC. People consider dipping it out, but theoretically we're in week 3. But it's okay. where people are participating is the key. Okay. And so week 3 is kind of about learning, teaching, and assessment.
Yeah.
And so Liz has shared some of her thoughts around that. Stu, do you want to just, because you're still in week 2, do you want to talk us through your little video post that you haven't posted yet?
I'd love to. Yeah. So what we did the other day, we just went outside in the campus near the sort of cafeteria, sat outside, and Tom filmed. Just asked me those 3 questions, which are a part of that the operational side of it. So the questions are about what are the, and using my experiences, what have been the constraints of technology. The second question was really about how we've used technology with particular tutors and sort of used that. And the third question, Tom, just remind me, that was about where we're going and where we can go with it.
How you're supporting the deployment of learning technology.
Yeah. And I think one of the key things, one of the key models that I use and informs what I do is that sort of John Biggs's model of constructive alignment. So making sure that there's good alignment between the graduate profile, the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, the learning activities which we employ, which will move towards that graduate outcome, and also, very importantly, the assessment activities, and making sure those things are all lined up, and using technology to really enhance that experience and and empower students and so on. So really, the 5-minute video, which this is a huge sort of it's like one of those sort of trailers you get at the movies that that is coming out soon, and you'll get it soon. But I don't want to raise your expectations too much.
Yeah, thanks, Stu. Liz, so you're currently the first person to post something for around learning, teaching, and assessment. Do you want to talk us through, what your experience was that you've shared around learning, teaching, and assessment with technology?
Yeah, sure. So in the first round, the evidence reflections that I submitted, they did come back as adequate, but I've done some more work around that area as well. And basically, so aligning kind of my experiences, I didn't actually come from higher education initially. So I started out as an instructional designer at British Gymnastics, which sounds a bit niche really, but it was a really interesting experience because we went from a position of having no online learning provision at all to selecting an LMS, deciding what authoring tools and technologies we were going to use, all the way through to redesigning and reviewing our existing coaching courses, which were face-to-face delivered, a combination of kind of classroom, lecture theatre for the theory side of gymnastics coaching, and the more practical in the gym elements. And the idea was to see what we could do around making some of the theory actually more accessible and more blended with the more practical aspects of gymnastics. So it was a really interesting experience. And the post that I put out earlier was kind of the second round. So initially we'd done a level 2 program, and it was our first, my first. I was the only instructional designer at the time, and we were working with a partner company. But it was my first sort of dipping the toe in terms of designing a full program. And we stuck quite traditional. We used Captivate to develop some modules and divided up the content. But based on feedback, we decided with the second round to break it down a little bit and adopt a kind of nano learning approach, which is what you can see in the photographs that I've shared is the whiteboard. That's kind of how I design learning. I think everybody designs differently. I'm quite spatial when I need to lay things out. I need walls, I need floor space, lots of post-its. So I'm very kind of spatial in the way I think and I design. So that post is quite reflective of the learning design approach. And that's something I kind of added in. I added in the photographs to my evidence. In my initial submission, I relied a lot more on the fact that I completed the postgraduate certificate in digital education, which is part of the MSc programme at Edinburgh University. And I was basing an understanding that would probably kind of suffice. And I think that probably did, because it came back as adequate. But I was basing that around the CMORC guidelines suggesting that, if you'd done a PGCE or qualification around learning technology, that would be good evidence in that area. And then I sort of reflected around that. But one of the other areas that I wasn't strong on was demonstrating a kind of an understanding and awareness of the my colleagues' needs and working with different people. So I added in some additional reflections around that, because in the British Gymnastics, I was very much designing the learning for the learners, and I was working with coaches and tutors. But it's a different thing in higher education, where I'm thinking I'm not going to be the person in the classroom or the lecture theatre having to deliver that content or deal with the content later on. So I really have to think about what the impact of any learning design strategies that we work on are going to have on them. Yeah, so I added in a bit more around that. But yeah, it's probably one of my favourite aspects of the portfolio. I enjoyed that one particularly, but I think that's probably because my specialist area is around learning design. So this is the area that hopefully I will be able to show off a bit more, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the conceptual statement and the learning teaching assessment part is probably the easiest part.
Mm.
Hey, Paul, while we're here, do you want to pick people's brains in any way? Any questions you have?
No, it's just really got me thinking about some things that I have done that I could reflect on for this, and so I'd really love to. I haven't read Liz's work yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And maybe could I come back to you with some questions, Liz?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, anybody can ask.
Yeah, just post them in the Google Plus. So Liz has posted hers into Google Plus, which is cool.
And whether it comes back as a thumbs up or thumbs down, I'm still quite happy to share what the next round of feedback says. Although I might be a bit depressed if it's a thumbs down initially. You have to be easy on me initially.
Yeah, and once Stewie gets around to posting his Cameo video, we'll be able to give him some critical feedback as well.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us today, guys, and it's nice to chat with you all and just see how people are progressing and get some ideas from one another and a bit of support. And I think that's part of the key with CMOT, was providing some sort of support platform, which is perhaps a little bit lacking. So for anyone watching, hope you've enjoyed hearing people's stories, and we'll catch up next week when we have another webinar, and feel free to join in with us and get more people online. So thank you, Liz, all the way from the UK. Paul and Stu, all the way from downstairs.
Bye. Hope to see you all next week.
All right.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
See ya.
Yep. Coffee time, Tom.